Welcome to Retro Robot Radio's interview with Rik Alvarez of Play With This Too for the date of October 25th, 2014. Alright, before we get started, a quick word on what Play With This 2 is. Play With This 2 is a company created by Rik Alvarez that was announced last month. They are a company that plans to become a top brand developer, designer, manufacturer, and wholesale distributor of high-end collectible toys. So let's take a quick look at the team behind Play With This 2. Rik Alvarez is an author and consultant with Hasbro. He has worked as the creative manager there. He helped develop toys and intellectual property for Dark of the Moon, Age of Extinction, the Transformers Prime television series, G.I. Joe Renegades, and worked with companies like IDW, Jagex, and NetDragon. Mark Wong is a freelance designer who's worked with product design and management for Monogram International. He's done work for Diamond Select and Icon Heroes, and worked for brands such as Thundercats, Minimates, and Transformers. Steve Redinger worked for Kenner and Hasbro on their lines including Transformers, Jurassic Park, Chaos Effect, Gargoyles, Power Spark, Small Soldiers, Man of Steel, Batman Beyond, Men in Black, Titan IE, Congo, G.I. Joe Sigma 6, Zoids, B. Damon, Action Man, Marvel, Star Wars, Power of the Force, Episodes 2 and 3, and Epic Force 6-inch figures. Trent Troop is the creator of B-Mog and worked for Pun Publications, as well as for Hasbro for brands such as G.I. Joe, Transformers, and Rescue Bots. Ken Christensen is a concept designer for Nintendo and Disney. He contributed to Transformers Covenant of Primus and the Transformer Legends mobile game, and covers for IDW's Transformers Prime series. Just announced this weekend, the group is joined by two more talented individuals. Simon Furman is a comic book writer for Transformers in the Marvel UK, US, the Dreamwave, and IDW Comics, and also an episode writer for Beast Wars. Aaron Archer is an illustrator and creative professional who worked for Hasbro as the design VP on Transformers, and he also came up with the storyline concepts for the Transformers Cybertron series. We'll take a look at the heroic 6-inch figures that are being developed by Play With This 2. We have Astro Blast, a hero in a red and blue suit of space armor that comes with a whip, shield, and backpack. The shield, backpack, and his rifle all combine to form his tech drone partner, who can convert into a scout ship. There's Boneyard, a grim knightly warrior who carries a sword and rifle combination. And we have Jetwash, the high-flying armored hero with dual arm-mounted lasers and a changing tech drone figure who turns into a jet fighter. Among the villains, we have Ancient Astronaut. A former hero was infected with pure evil. Bloodbath, a high-flying bat-like creature with a 5mm port weapon and tech drone. And Desolator, a centaur-like skull creature who comes with a weapon and tech drone of his own. Also available in Play With This 2's toy lineup are the headshots. These accessories are meant for people to customize their own 6-inch tall figures by adding these cool heads. Volume 1 will contain Terrible, Skullfucker, and Madwing. Volume 2 will contain Blackjack, Moon Unit, and Zandu. Volume 3 will contain Talix, Gentleman Fantastico MD, and Maku. Hey, we're talking with Rik Alvarez, and I was going to talk to you a bit. First, people might want to know a little bit about what this line is that you're coming out with. What do they call it?
Well, we still haven't announced the name of the actual line yet. So this is, as of right now, just the Play With This 2 figure line.
Okay. I remember seeing on one of the arts that said that Astroblast was a protector.
Yeah, we're toying around with a couple names, so that's an older name.
Okay.
Yeah.
And actually, I got a list of questions here written down. Why don't I start with some things about toys in general? What
Okay.
are your favorite non-Transformer toy lines?
I am a huge, huge Masters of the Universe fan. I
Okay.
have almost every single piece of the original line, except for the Italian figures.
Oh, wow.
And I have all the classic figures except for the Stan Lee guy, which I don't really want. He doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for him to exist in the He-Man universe, so
Hmm.
I don't feel the need to own that toy. But I'm a big Aliens and Predator fan.
Hmm.
I'm going back to the Kenner figures. I've got the movie Maniacs, Aliens and Predators. I've got all the recent stuff. I love the new Predator stuff they're doing that harkens back to the Kenner figures. And I was lucky enough to meet Danny Glover, and I got him to sign one of
Oh,
my 1/6 scale masterpiece Predator figures. He signed it. Shit happens.
all right. That's pretty impressive. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to play a little game with you. Okay, someone suggested that they wanted these questions asked. I'm going to name a few 80s toy lines, and you're going to tell me the name of your favorite hero and villain from the line.
Oh man, you're gonna be disappointed with that. Okay,
Okay. Mask.
Matt Tracker and Hondo McLean or
Okay.
McLean, however you say it. There's my two
Okay.
favorite hero guys. I have to tell you the villain.
Yeah. Tell me your favorite villain.
Well, I'm sure everybody says, you know, what was the guy from Venom? He had his twin brother and
Oh, Miles and Maximus.
Miles Mayhem, Miles and Maximus Mayhem, yeah. But my favorite guy was actually the guy that came. He was the dorky looking guy, like the nerd looking guy that came with the big semi truck that had the big huge missile in the back. That the back of the truck would open up and he'd have this big huge like missile. It was like the Rolling Thunder, but for Mask. I don't know his
Oh,
name.
okay. Okay, I'll have to look that up. How about from Centurions?
Centurions. Love Max Ray. Max Ray. Love Max Ray. And as for villains go, I mean, there was only, Doc Terror and Hodor.
Yeah. Unless you want to count Siberiad, or what was they had one of those where or something like that. It was like one of their cyborg sides combined and formed a villain.
Yeah,
That was just weird.
I think it might have been called Demolisher.
Oh, was it?
I
Yeah, I have
think
to look
so.
that one up. Okay. How about this one? Silverhawks.
Silverhawks. Silverhawks. Monstar's cool. Who was the guy that was the bull?
Mumbo Jumbo.
Mumbo Jumbo. Yeah, they had some crazy names. And then they had the Buzzsaw guy,
Mm-hmm.
too.
Buzzsaw.
Yeah, and then my favorite hero was the green one. Actually,
Flashback or something like that?
Flashback, that's right. Yes, Flashback. He's the only one I have of the good
Okay.
guys. I have all the
All
bad
right.
guys, though.
Well, good choices. All right, now my wife suggested this question. Again, pertaining to classic toy lines. What toys do you have or had as a kid that wouldn't be allowed today because of the safety requirements?
Well, Megatron,
Mm-hmm.
probably G1 Shockwave. That is a really good question.
See, my wife's a big fan of old style toys that they won't let kids play with anymore. So
Well,
she was
you know what I
curious.
had as a kid? I had the Rambo set, which was it was a machine gun. It was all black, and it had a cartridge, and you can pop the cartridge out, slap it back in, and when you pulled the trigger, it would make a sound.
Oh yeah,
So you definitely
and
could
it
play with
wasn't
that.
neon colors, was it?
No, it was black, and it said in big red letters that I scratched off, said Rambo on the side.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of my all-time favorite toys. And I played with guns as a kid, and I grew up not to shoot anyone with guns
All right.
or own guns,
job.
but I love to go shooting.
Oh yeah, who doesn't? All right. Here's something more pertaining to modern toys. You're probably familiar with the independent toy lines that are out there right now. In fact, I
Yeah,
saw you just backed a Kickstarter.
I
Uh,
did. The
uh-huh.
Eon Quest guys.
That's right. I was looking at them myself. Um, you've probably looked at other companies' independent toys. Are there any you've looked at and say you would have done something differently, or that you say, "Wow, that's a great idea"?
Well, there's a lot of quality issues out there that I could say that I would have done that differently.
Hmm.
You fix the tolerance on the ball joint, or you make the connector a little bit bigger. That way the head doesn't pop off as soon as you try to transform it,
Hmm.
ruining your toy. Um, but you know what? I'll tell you. I'll go the opposite direction. I'll tell you what I really like that's out there.
Okay.
I like that. Is it the Omega X? That Omega Supreme from War for Cybertron?
Oh, the Planet X.
Planet X.
Right.
That is a hardcore toy. I have that, and I have the accessory kit that came separately with all the lights in it. And that is just a work of art. That is a beautiful thing there is nothing like that Transformers wise. That is just a beautiful toy. So that is one of my favorite things that's come out. And then that Scoria, that masterpiece.
Oh yeah, fans toys.
That thing is gorgeous.
Now,
Yeah, I was playing with
what
that the
scale
other day.
Dinobot collector are you? I'll just throw that one right off the top of my head because there's so many scales of dinosaur transforming warriors. Everyone's like, "Oh, I want the masterpiece. I want the classics. I want the."
Well, anything, the masterpiece ones I'll definitely pick up. I got
Okay.
the Scoria.
Okay. So
I
is that what
have
you're going to continue?
the Swoop from, I think it's Planet X.
Okay.
I got the Sludge on pre-order, and I want to get that new Snarl that came out that's like a Voyager size.
Oh, that's the one from Toy World.
Yeah, I think there's another set that combines. I might pass on that.
Yeah, the Toy World one does combine, but honestly, you can't tell by looking at it.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. I think I might just keep those guys.
It's not like it, lowered the quality of the toy itself in any other way.
No, but I was kind of looking at the transformation, and I think it's one of those things where they just slap on a big foot, and the figure doesn't really connect. Might be just a small attachment. I haven't messed around with it, so I don't know. But on first glance, it kind of looked like it's parts forming to connect, which for me that's fine.
Now, you have this company called Play With This Too, and let's see, when you're designing figures, or when the people who work with you design figures, oftentimes parts are reused.
Mm-hmm.
When you're designing, do you have the remolds, recolors in mind right then, or do they just come later when you see those parts and go, hey, I could do this with it?
For some figures we do. We knew designing Astro Blast that we want to get 2 other similar characters out of him, and we have those designs ready to go. And there is a 4th character that we want to get out of him that will be... I'll say that the next character that comes from Astro Blast is a 50% remold. The 3rd character, which might have a water theme, he's about a 40% remold. And then eventually we'll get to that 4th guy, whatever he ends up being, Steelcock, whatever, I don't know.
All right, we'll use that as a working name.
Yeah. That will probably be more like a 60% remold. Maybe more.
Will he be another flyer?
No, we haven't finished designing. We just have the concept art for him yet so far.
Okay.
But he won't be part of the Kickstarter either at this point.
Oh yeah.
But for some figures, we kind of think, all right, well, we have a goal to get this, this, and this, and this out of it. For other figures, it just kind of worked out like for the Boneyard. We had the Boneyard, and we said, well, I guess we can get Jet Wash out of him. Because Jet Wash is going to be another character, a whole other figure, and we just kind of looked at it and said, these will actually match up pretty well if you just change this around and this, and we add some new parts here. That was a happy coincidence.
So I didn't even look that closely to notice they do use a lot of stuff in common. So
It'll be hard to tell, especially when the deco is applied. You might be hard pressed to notice if you're not really looking for it.
Now, your figures, a lot of them are going to be coming with tech drones. Now, the main figures are very articulated from what we've seen. What sort of articulation do the tech drones have? Are they just the ports themselves are the articulation points?
Yeah, the ports are just the articulation points. The tech drones are really just an afterthought. And you can actually see this in the first designs of Astro Blast that we released. You see that the weapons kind of form a vehicle if you put them all together.
Right.
And then later on, we had the thought, well, let's take that to the next level. And that's why Astro Blast and the character that will follow him, his remold, they have weapons that turn into the vehicle, but they also have a tech drone. That's the vehicle, the robot, the weapons. So they were really an afterthought, and having done Transformers for so long, we just didn't want to do transformation in our figures. So doing this approach, which is similar to BMOG, where you take them apart and you can assemble them any way you want, and then you can mix and match the figures, we felt that was a really good approach.
I like to think of it as weapon gestalting. They're all combining to form something.
I might have to borrow that term from you.
Now, do you think we'll ever see any tech drones or larger figures that will not be humanoid?
Yes. Well, you have Desolator and Bloodbath. Well, they're humanoid. So you're okay. So
and
you're
I don't
saying
mean
like
inhumanoid. I mean not
yeah.
humanoid.
No, you're saying like a four-legged guy.
Yeah, or bird guy, ant, something.
I'm messing with a design that will allow me to get at least 4 guys from one body to make a four-legged guys. It's going to be challenging. How do you do that? So I'm kind of leaning to, well, maybe we should make them all humanoid. But and
you got to think of 4 famous centaurs. And
yeah, what's your opinion on that?
Well, I don't know. I'd have to see what you're working on. I was also wondering, do you think the tech drones would they be non-humanoid? Maybe even if the figure was humanoid.
That's kind of getting into the BMOG territory, and that's my buddy Trent's thing. So I don't know. We haven't crossed that bridge yet. We haven't thought about what the future of the tech drones are, as much as we have what the figures are. Because for us, the figures come first, and then the tech drones.
All right. Now, for the line, do you think we'll see any gimmicks? And I have a little list here of some that some people had thought of. For instance, spring-loaded weapons.
No.
No. Glow in the dark?
I'm a big fan.
Okay. How about LED lights?
No.
Okay. Magnetism?
Not in the plans, but doesn't mean we can't find a place for it. It would just have to be. I'm not a big fan of gimmicks that are just there to be a gimmick. They have to really serve a purpose. So if you get glow in the dark stuff, it has to add something to the character itself.
Yeah. I was looking online. They actually sell magnets that are exactly 5mm rods that you can stick in the holes. But then, of course, that fills up a 5mm port that you'll never get back.
Yeah, but, I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to attach a paperclip to it and make a paperclip weapon? I don't know.
Oh.
I think it has to be the right character.
Yeah, you're right. It has to be something that has the theme of the character be that he has magnet-shaped gauntlets or something. All right. Now, you will be making these headshot figures. We've seen lots of drawings of those so far. Do you think that the headshots will eventually have partner tech drones made to go with them on the figures people make?
Well, the great thing about the tech drones is that we'll be able to run them in a number of colors.
Okay.
And you're able to mix and match the parts once you have a couple of them. And, eventually we'll take pictures and we'll show, hey, you could take this guy's legs and this guy's arms and these weapons, and you kind of make your own robot. The headshots, we look at them as, all right, they're collectible. They're also for customizers. They're for casual fans who are not customizers, who just want to take like their Black Series X-Wing pilot Luke Skywalker and put a monster head on it. Like, I'm dying to do that. So I have a bunch of X-Wing fighter pilots lined up. We're not going to say what bodies they necessarily would go on or how you might customize them. We're going to kind of let the fans play with that.
Are the headshots going to come painted, or are they just
absolutely?
Okay,
the headshots will come painted, and then they'll eventually come out again in different paints, and probably the headshots that come in the Kickstarter will most likely all be Kickstarter exclusive colors.
Okay.
So some of them might be a little funkier color ones
Okay.
because of the exclusivity.
Okay.
When you get into stuff that's retail, they might be more typical colored.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking some of those, well, it really does depend on what color they are, what body they would match up to if you were to take and, say, do a custom with a Marvel Legends or a He-Man figure. You'd want a green head to go on your Moss Man body. Or
Yeah, definitely. So I think that's the great thing about those headshots is that, maybe we don't have the headshots you want and the color you want, but, wait a while. Maybe in a couple months they'll come out again in different colors.
All right. Now, let's see, another question we have here. Your company, if it say it starts doing great and making your own figures, would you consider doing licensed work for other companies? Say someone has a property and wants you to make a figure of them?
I will say that that's an excellent question, and I will say that we have been in active negotiations with several companies to procure licenses and make licensed products.
Okay.
But nothing that we're ready to announce beyond that.
All right.
In fact, today I had a 56-minute, 39-second phone call with someone who it went very well. So I just gotta look into a few things, and we'll see how it goes. But it looks very promising.
Okay. So yeah, obviously there's things you could do, anything from comic book characters to video games, if someone was interested, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to take something that's existed for a really long time and just kind of reinvent it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's some brands out there that
just get the license to make the characters from Doom or something from.
Yeah, I think there's some stuff out there that if you forget about all the heavy, weighed down mythology that came before it, and you just give it a fresh take, a fresh look, it could be really cool. You're going to introduce it to a whole new generation.
Yeah. Okay, I have 4 names for you, and I want you to tell me what they have in common. Jerry Seinfeld, Oprah Winfrey, Neil deGrasse Tyson, and Felicia Day.
They all love Superman?
No, they've all been people you've tweeted lately.
Oh, yeah!
You want to tell anyone about that? That you've been...
Yeah. They are... I'm a big Felicia Day fan, and who doesn't like Oprah? So, yeah, we've been tweeting saying, hey, let us make a figure for you for a Kickstarter or for later on. So far, response has been limited. But, heck, if Oprah says, yeah, you could make an action figure of me kicking ass in space, I'm all for it. I am all for that. So, yeah, there are just some people, like, who wouldn't want a Neil deGrasse Tyson kicking ass in a spacesuit?
Seems like his natural form, which we assume he does when he's not on TV doing his normal stuff. He's probably in space kicking ass, right?
If he's not riding the train, working on his computer, or at work giving some lecture or looking into the cosmos, I imagine him standing on the moon, staring some alien down, saying, "Welcome to Earth."
Exactly.
So yeah, who wouldn't want a Neil deGrasse Tyson action figure? Or like a Bob Ballard, even.
I suppose you could do famous people that are in the public domain, but that would have to be older people. It's like...
Yeah, I mean, who wants a Charles Dickens in space? Yeah.
Okay.
You and 5 other
Yeah,
guys.
you put like a Jules Verne in space? Not that there.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
Okay.
I think Disney rewrote history and they own that now.
Mm-hmm. All right, I have some questions about the actual figures in your line. Will there be any kind of symbol denoting what faction they belong to?
All right, so this is kind of the first time we're going to talk about story. I haven't talked about story too much yet because we were waiting for the Simon Furman announcement. And what he'll be doing, what capacity it will be, we haven't gotten into yet. All we said is that, hey, he's on board. He's going to work with us. I've known Simon for a bunch of years. We're friends. And I'm kind of looking at the bad guys as a rogues gallery. More of the Batman theme, where it's like, it's the Joker, or it's Two-Face, and it's Catwoman. They're not a faction.
Okay.
They're all their own characters, so they do their own things. They're evil in their own ways. It's more the villain of the week approach. The good guys are a faction, and as far as a faction symbol, no, but there will be something that denotes that they're all on the same side.
Okay.
But it won't be a faction symbol.
All right, but they will be a team of some type.
There will be a team.
And, of course, the potential exists that the fact that they're a team may bring the Legion of Doom together later.
Maybe.
I'm just saying.
More. I can't say more at this time
right.
about the story. I want to get more into the story, but it's a long way. It's a long way away.
Okay, well, speaking of a long way away, if these toys were to evolve and the media be successful, where would you like to see it go if it could go anywhere? To a comic book, an animated series, a video game?
Well, I would love a comic book. I've worked with IDW while at Hasbro. I got to work with Film Publication. I'm a big comic book fan. Love Dark Horse. Love IDW. I'd love to see a comic book interpretation written by like Simon or Flint Dille.
So as of right now, he's just officially writing the bios. There is no comic book in the works.
There's no comic book right now. As for story, we're not ready to announce what else there might be.
Okay.
But I would love to see a comic book. And then comic books lead to everything. You have a comic book, suddenly it's a TV show, suddenly it's a movie or a serial or a lunchbox or an action figure line, and then they make a comic book based off the action figure line, based off the comic book.
All right, and I had some other questions here that they were actually written before I found out this was going to be going after TFcon, asking where people can find you at TFcon. I guess, well, they already found you.
Yeah. We were at TFcon. So, yeah, we're recording this prior to TFcon, but not releasing it until after TFcon. Kind of the reason is I really want to just see what people's reaction is to some of these designs. I want to be there in the back of the room.
Oh, I can understand that.
On the screen.
You want to see their eyes widen if they do.
Well, it's not necessarily that. I just really want to gauge what the reaction is. Maybe there's some boos, maybe there's some cheering, maybe there's some people whispering to each other. I want to take it in and see what the mood is, and then obviously see what the reaction is to Aaron and seeing his first design for our company.
Now, have you been to TFcon before?
I've been to TFcon before twice.
All right, and do you plan on being into the one in Canada next year, or the one down here in Chicago if there's one?
If there's one in Chicago, I'll definitely be there. If there's one in Canada, unless I'm having another kid, I won't be there. Mm-hmm. So this was the first BotCon I've missed since 2004. It was this year because I was waiting for my kid to be born. So she showed up 2 weeks later. So I missed BotCon for nothing. But hey, what are you gonna do?
Well, that's really interesting work. You know what? You're going to be at TFcon. I'm talking to you before you go. You're going to see a lot of celebrities there, people who are in the Transformers media, voice actors. Are you going to ask any of them if they want to be the heads of figures?
Potentially. I mean, having been around the brand for so long, I've had the wonderful opportunity of meeting a lot of the cast for a lot of the television series and meeting the people behind the scenes. Meeting a lot of the artists, meeting the other figure designers. So that's kind of how this whole motley crew of Renegades came together, where, hey, who do I know and who do I want to try and work with again? So that was my approach in recruiting.
I mean, who wouldn't want to have a Boneyard figure that has Simon Furman's head?
I don't know. Maybe. That I never thought of Simon as a potential headshot. Let me write that down. Call Simon.
Although the one I've dreamed of long before I even saw these figures, was a pretender type robot with the Peter Cullen's head on it.
Yeah, I am a big fan of Peter Cullen. I had the pleasure of hanging out with him and dining with him and going to conventions with him multiple times. But there's some people who are so ingrained with the brand that how do you approach it? So who knows?
Mm-hmm. All right. Oh, you know what? I skipped right past this question, but going back, you mentioned Trent and his BMOG line. Do you think that there is the open possibility that the BMOG weapons, say, could appear in your universe?
It's definitely possible. Trent owns all those designs. We're not necessarily going to use the same factory as he did. We are doing our very best to have something produced in America. While it's kind of come to the sad reality that we can't have our figures produced in this country, we are trying to find a way to get our tech drones produced in this country, and that's probably going to happen, although I'm not confirming it just yet. We're still looking at a couple of vendors. So it is possible to produce something in this country. You just can't paint it the way you want to paint it. And I've opened that door up to Trent to say, hey, this vendor and this vendor and these guys are all pretty good, and you can produce it here. And there's a big plus to keeping those jobs in America and bringing manufacturing here. But also, it's easier to communicate with someone who speaks fluent English than it is to try and go through a translator, and you're not quite sure if they're translating it correctly. And there's always a little bit of miscommunication in those situations. So as far as Trent's BMOG's character showing up, it's possible. Yeah, I'd love to see a crossover one day.
Well, the fiction in Trent's world, of course, is that the weapons were made by interdimensional arms dealers and sold to many different dimensions. So that's why you'll see them in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle world and in the Transformers world and whatever else. So it seems like, hey, they could have sold weapons to your villains.
Hey, maybe. Or, maybe one of our villains is the guy who designed all the weapons.
There you
go. Maybe. Call Trent.
Now, are some of your villains going to be humanoid? Are any of your heroes going to be bestial? Or are you sticking with the humans versus monsters?
Well, it kind of goes back to the first figure Aaron's designing. Mm-hmm. So Aaron's first figure, there's kind of two stages to it. I call it the Prometheus engineer type character, which is an older version of our current heroes. He's from a distant time. Was friends with Boneyard when Boneyard was a lot younger. This guy went out to destroy this great chaos squid thing monster, and in destroying it, he becomes infected, and he ends up becoming this monster, and he becomes this Teiko kill monster, which is Teiko being the Japanese word for octopus.
Uh-huh.
So he becomes the thing he sought to destroy. So he'll have a human form, and then there'll be another version that's a monster form.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at the photos now. That's the ancient astronaut.
Yeah.
Pre and post infection.
So,
I like the hands ending up in the. There's going to be it does say 5mm ports on the tentacle arm there.
Yeah, it does. So he's going to be able to hold a bunch of weapons in one hand at one point, which is cool. And then there's a lot of potential reuse for those squid arms and how they connect. And if you want another guy to get infected, you kind of pop them off and pop them on your other guy, and you're going to have another guy that's infected. Mm-hmm. And then, I think later on down the road, there'll be some more human bad guys. Because as much as I love to see people versus monsters, animals, or forces of nature, there's nothing like getting a human villain in there, like your James Moriarty.
Okay, I was thinking Blackthorn Shore
type of character. Yeah,
that sort of thing.
There's plans for human villains down the road.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I was just looking. I didn't realize
not part of the Kickstarter.
I didn't realize here, looking at it, the pre-infection and post-infection astronaut, it's the same figure, isn't it? Just with different accessories added to it?
Yeah, we're still working on how much of it will be new versus reused.
Is it going to be sold as
So
two figures or sold as one figure with the add-ons?
we haven't quite figured that out
Okay,
yet.
yeah, it looks like,
We
I
haven't quite
realized,
figured that
hey,
out.
that could just be, you change the fists, you add the tentacles, and
Yeah,
he's become
yeah.
infected.
So we're kind of toying around with it. I'm kind of leaning towards it being two different figures, but who knows? We haven't quite gotten there yet. As you can see from those designs, the design's still not final.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
still working on it. It was kind of a late addition to our lineup. But Aaron happens to be a really big octopus
Oh,
squid
really?
fan. So I just thought, hey, this is when you start designing, this is the type of guy I'm thinking you're going to do. And that's kind of how I got him to bite.
Okay, well, before we go here, I wanted to make sure, you know what, there's one thing we didn't look at, and it would have been just announced as people are listening to this, is that your headshots, specifically your
Yeah.
headshots, is there anything you'd like to tell people about them? We have a Talix, who seems to
Talix.
be your logo.
He is our company
All
mascot.
right.
Yes. He is going to come in green. That'll be like a Kickstarter exclusive green version you get just by himself, and then he'll also come in the headshot set in the purple colors, the purple pink colors.
And then Gentleman Fantastico MD.
Yes, he's a doctor and a gentleman, and he's a fantastic horse.
Unicorn.
Unicorn.
Don't confuse him with
So,
a horse.
The details on the face, you see the expressions on his face. Those will be painted on. So when we reissue that head and we have a different deco on it, we'll be able to add different types of effects on the eyes and paints. So I already got a couple ideas. I'd love to do a Gentleman Fantastico in like a black with like red eyes and maybe a red mane. But I think for the Kickstarter, I think we might go with maybe like a blue or a rainbow type color for him.
And there's a figure here called Makoa.
Makoa.
Oh, okay. Sorry, excuse me,
Makoa.
sir.
It is
Yeah,
Polynesian for the word God.
Okay.
So I thought, well, I'm a big fan of The Critic. And it was this cartoon show from the 90s with John Lovitz, and his kid, the critic's kid, went to the UN school, and they had kids there from Easter Island, and they just had these big stone heads, and I just thought that was the coolest thing. So, that is technically somebody's god, so I do treat that one with a little bit more respect, so it has a name that I hope shows the respect. And we'll be more conservative with color schemes for any character that is a deity to someone. So while we do have some
Jesus,
names which are fun to play with, look, I'll just say if we ever do a Jesus figure, he will come black, white, Spanish, Asian. He's going to come all the colors on the rainbow.
But not on the same figure. No rainbow colors.
Sure.
Okay. For this one with the Easter Island head, obviously you could do it like a granite and then different stones.
Yeah. You granite or some vines growing on it, or you do different color rocks. You paint cracks in it. I think it'll be really cool. And the thing about the headshots is they work with a lot of cool figures, and I think I'm going to have an X-Wing pilot that has a Makoa head on it. Just imagine the X-Wing, the canopy of the X-Wing is fitted perfectly for him. And we're thinking about doing a customization set on the Kickstarter. Not sure if we'll get to it or not, but I'm thinking of calling it the Play With Yourself box set. And it might have like 2 or 3 chests, 2 back parts, maybe 2 sets of legs, 3 sets of arms, a number of heads, and maybe they just come in gray or white. And it's really kind of your customizer's dream where you kind of make your own figure the way you want to make your own figure. So maybe he has Desolator's arms, but he's got Astro Black's legs, and he's got Just Wash's chest. So it's I like to cater to a lot of different people. Thus, we're doing the art, we're doing the prints, and all the other cool little things we're doing on the Kickstarter for people.
All right, and just to review, the Kickstarter will be happening about when?
We're looking to launch around February, which is Toy Fair. So the idea there is that, hey, it's post-holidays, it's before summer. Not everyone tunes in to toys year-round, but come Toy Fair, a lot of people kind of check in. So hopefully it'll grab us some extra media attention. So I think it's the right time to do it, come February. Plus, we just need time to market. We want to show people our designs and not just kind of lay it on there and say, blah, Kickstarter, go check it out. By the way, we did this, this, and this. I kind of want to do it in a way so that when it launches, everyone's waiting for it to launch, and those who are going to pledge hopefully on that first day.
Oh, that's great. And I hope we'll see that happening in February like you planned, because that plan on following that pretty closely.
I hope so. The plan right now, unless there's any catastrophes that come around, February.
Right.
Sometime in February.
And do you know which will be the base figure for the Kickstarter?
I think it'll probably be Astroblast. I think we'll start off with Astroblast as the first figure that will fund the Kickstarter, and once he's funded, then we'll go to our headshots or a weapon set or extra tech drones, and then get to another figure, and so on and so on. So there's going to be a lot of different things that you're going to be able to unlock on the Kickstarter. We're toying around with maybe starting off with 4 figures. You have to get 4 figures funded before we're unlocked. Kind of stretches out the goal a little further. It's about how much money we have to raise. So it's still in flux right now. But I'm leaning towards 1. Some of us are leaning towards multiple.
Multiple with different molds, or just 3 different decos of the Astroblast?
No. Where it would just be maybe the Astroblast, a redeco of him, some other items. Once that's funded, then we could introduce, Desolator could be a stretch goal or something like that. So everything that we're showing will be part of the Kickstarter. Nothing that we're going to show between now and February won't be available on the Kickstarter.
Okay.
Whether it's all unlocked or not, that's up to the fans.
Well, it's great to hear that you guys are so well organized, and congratulate you on all the announcements for this weekend that are coming out at TFcon.
Well, thanks. I think we got our big 2 out of the way, which everybody, I think, wanted to see if we were going to do or not. So we got our Jet Wash and we got our Boneyard out of the way, and we got some major talent announced, and there's still 5 more artists to go that haven't been announced yet.
More announcements to come.
There's more announcements to come. There's a lot more figures to come, more headshots. I just got in Volume 8 the other day.
That's a lot more.
From the designer. So there's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot of stuff available.
All right. Well, it was great having you on the show. And I'll make sure to start the program with a little introduction and a list of and a little picture show of the slides, so people know what they are if they didn't see them at TFcon.
Great. Well, hey, Matt, thank you very much for hosting me on the show. If you want me to come on again later on, maybe I can bring Old Man Archer or someone else with me. We'll talk about the old days at Hasbro, which we didn't get into tonight.
Yes, that would probably be cool.
All right. Well, Thanks again. All right. Take care.
Thanks to Rik Alvarez for putting aside some time for this interview. Interview brought to you by Matthew Ignash. Listen to our other videos at YouTube channel Retro Robot Radio, all one word. You can find out more about Play With This 2 at their website, playwiththis2.com, and learn more about third-party Transformers in general at wikialpha.org.